I'm at Katie Jones Harris Wheeler's house in Burns. Katie, where was you born?
I was born in Leota, Kansas.
And then you come out here?
I came out to Twin Falls, Idaho when I was 2.
Uh-huh.
Carl and Stub.
Mm-hmm.
And me.
And you?
And Harley was born in, I came over the hill to Catlow Valley. And Carl was 2.
Uh-huh.
But we stayed in Lakeview, what was 4 years? Yeah. Dad came to Catlow Valley and lived in a tent that winter and grubbed 40 acres.
Mm-hmm.
On the east side of the Rock Creek. Haven't you ever been out there?
Yeah, but it hasn't.
I started a school in Lakeview. We lived out on Goose Lake that winter. And we went to school at the Pine Creek Schoolhouse, and I started the school, and the snow got too deep, and I had to quit. So when we came to Catlow, I started again the next spring. We had 5 miles to go, and we went in the morning. It was, in the wintertime, it was dark when we got home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told Selma a while back, I said the school used to take up at 9 and let out at 4.
You bet. You bet.
Denver ran the school route from the south end after he was out of school, brought the Butler kids. And then Theodore drove his school bus, picked up the kids at Rock Creek and the Moore kids.
Mm-hmm.
Then after they was all through, Theodore was through Idaho, went by Rock Creek. We picked up Arthur Johnson and a couple of the Moore kids down by their homestead. Oh my God, yes, Conley. We used to get there in the morning. Mom had a rock. I just wide about this long, about this thick. Let's put it in the oven at night. She put it wrapped in a sack and put it in the front of the buggy. Well, the little kids was usually bawling the time we got there. We went and built a fire. In the spring of the year, usually breakup was in February. The Guana slough come down between us and the school. And we'd have to get up on the seat in the buggy, because the water would be in the buggy. And one time, the shafts came loose. And of course, it was about this deep on me. I wasn't very bit tall. But I crawled out and wired the shafts back on. Went on to school. And Mrs. Dean was teaching school. She was tall, skinny woman, and wore long skirts that come in. She took my clothes off and put one of her skirts on me and pinned it up against the neck. And I had to wear that all day. I know the kids all giggled all day. They
thought that was pretty good.
While my clothes were getting dry.
You bet.
At one time, there was somebody on every 160 acres. And one time Theodore and I sat down, and I don't know whatever happened to him. And we wrote down the names. I can write down the names of hundreds of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we wrote down the names of everybody
that was in Catlow Valley.
And there was, lived right there was Johnson's, Cadlatis, Tulloch's, Byron's, Kiphart's, 3 families of butlers and all, just kind of like a street.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Now, how long did you go to school there? And then
I went through the 8th grade.
To the 8th grade.
Started it.
Then did you go to high school, or was that the end of?
No, I went 1 year in Woodridge during my Hankins.
Uh-huh,
And Dad, no way was he going to let me go Crane.
Strictly against Crane.
Yeah. He was damn school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I was 18 when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Get down, kitty. We lived at 3 Mile, and Univista. And then we come back to town when Bud started school. Bud and Buster was both born where we lived at 3 Mile.
They were both born down there.
Well, they were born.
Yeah. While you lived.
Bud was born to Narrows on the way in.
Oh, I see.
That's where I forgot.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That was a wild ride. And then they went to school here, and then we rented the Cato place, and we lived out there, and Bud and Bus went to school. And then they went to the sod house.
Who was teaching at the sod house at that time? Do you remember?
Edna Haynes.
Was she?
Well, Bud and Bus went to school at the sod house, and then we moved back here to town. But Jared was born when we lived at Cato place.
Now, where did your brothers, where did they disperse to? Did they stay around the country, or did they take off? And
They lived on every ranch around here and worked. And usually in the summertime, and in the spring, they were on Steens Mountain, the sheep. Shriek and Gray and Cooney. Well, Denver left here once and went down, well, touristing around there and worked. But the rest of them
stayed around here herding sheep
around,
and cowboying and, you know, all of the sagebrush was like trees, was it?
Well, you saw that picture.
Yeah.
Dad grubbed those, and they were like this. And he had cords and cords of them. I remember when we come back, he come to Lakeview and got us. And we come back. He trimmed all those out and stacked them. He had cords and cords. Kind of at that time, they had rye and wheat. Of course, we had hard winters and lots of snow. And it gradually got drier and drier and drier, and people started leaving, and finally...
Was there a lot of cattle and sheep when you first was in Catlow Valley? Was there a lot of...
On Steens Mountain there was, yes.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. Oh, and the company had cattle, but yeah. That's when the drought started too. We used to fight with pump water by hand for stock.
Yeah, them little old pitcher plums.
And those, well, we had the big old log.
Oh, did you?
And those cattle would come in and tear the fence down. And I can remember one time I wasn't very big. Oh, it was hot. Stub would get it. Mom put Stub and I on. I was on old Kate. Stub was a little crappie. Barebacked. It was hot. She said, gather up those cattle and take them to Beatty's Butte. We did. We had cattle like you wouldn't believe. We took them to Beatty's Butte and started back. We made a bunch of buckaroos. They took the cattle and went on. We come back. But anyhow, that fall, they gathered those cattle. They died. They were so poor. They died by the hundreds. They drug them up over at Rock Creek and over there in the sagebrush and tried to burn them. That's why?
The severe winter.
Yes.
And the cattle starved to death.
Yes, they died by the hundreds.
I heard they even froze to death standing up.
Well,
I don't know whether it's true
I
or
think
not.
they did.
Uh-huh.
But they were, I know at Rock Creek, there was a couple of places in the field down there, there was a sagebrush knoll. And they drug them up on there by the hundreds and tried to burn them because it stunk so bad.
Yeah.
But they died. And then the company started selling them. You don't remember when they, so when we first moved to Foliage.
Uh-huh.
They went from P Ranch to Crane. I'll bet you the dust was that deep.
Yeah.
But that's when they went out of business, FG Ranch and cattle.
And how do you know how long that drought lasted?
Well, it got worse each year and each year and each year. People kept leaving and leaving. And well, we moved there in Carl was born in 1912. We moved there in 1914, and we left there in We was there 8 years. It got
That'd be
worse.
1922.
22.
Yeah, something like that.
I remember those cattle. They dehorned a bunch of bulls. Great big old bulls. And this old bull come down. He's standing with his head in the trough, and Mom looked at her and just wiggling with maggots.
Yeah.
So she went back in the house, got a bottle of turpentine, and put out. I tell you, they wanted the fence left on the homestead, but the old bull, he made it to school section, but he was dead. Oh,
Well,
you know, my mother wasn't afraid of the devil.
just
She
any,
really wasn't.
they did.
And then during that time was when the rabies started, and we had rabid coyotes by the dozens. I seen Mom take a stick of stove wood and go out, try to hit the coyotes to keep him from biting the dogs. She didn't want to shoot it because she'd shoot the dogs.
Yeah.
We finally lost one dog. We had 2 big dogs. One would get in front and one at the back. Old coyote grab it to one in front, the other, and grab him. Well, finally, after we got the coyote killed, they said, well, Doc got dead. My Mom said, okay. Take him down and tie him up in the shed, and Denver, you feed him and water him, and the rest of you kids stay away from there. About a week or 10 days, he come in, he said, he's acting funny. He won't eat, he just sits and don't pay attention to me. So Mom said, okay. She went down and shot him.
Mm-hmm.
But we had 7 different ones come to the house.
Oh, did you?
It's a wonder some of us wasn't dead. But believe me, a kid didn't go out after dark.
Yeah.